There's a wee boat on the top coming over to the dock. These crows are good. It's quite steep. Yeah, it is a wee bit. Oh my goodness.
Je veux prendre une photo de là-bas, moi. Je veux prendre une photo de là.
Oh. I've got to put this sideways, I think. That Campbell Christie CBA in recognition of the part he played in the rebirth of Scotland's canals from 1997 to 2008. Yeah, that's interesting for you. Even the ducks. I got the mic on just as the bell stopped ringing.
Have a look at that.
Oh, it is a dreich day. This is really gorgeous, but oh, it is wet. I need to find the entrance. I'm going to go around this way, see if there's a way in. Oh, these windows must be pretty incredible from inside. There's a lot of work to them, eh? 1903 for this building. Looks older than 1903, eh? Certainly fits in with the atmosphere of the place.
Bell Tower dates to the 1100s, and it was originally freestanding, and it was originally shorter. So when you go outside again, if the rain lets you look up, you'll see that it's a different colour of stonework near the top, and that's what's been raised up after they've put the cathedral on. You can have a bit of a peer in, so you can see, probably not from this angle, but when you're coming around the side, you can see, if you peer in, the kind of the hatch in the wall where St Blaine's relics used to live. So Dunblane, the hill of Blaine, has a lot of association with St Blaine, and the story goes that he was here in about the 500-600s. We know that there were Picts here in about the 800s, because we've got a Pictish stone up the back of the cathedral.
Nice.
And then really we don't know much until the 1100s when this is dated to. But the cathedral was added on in the 1200s. It was the work of Bishop Clement, who basically arrived here to a dilapidated church and a freestanding bell tower and said, no way, took himself off to Rome, made some kind of convincing argument to the Pope for more money, and came back, and this was the result of that, so he must have been quite convincing.
He did the job.
So it was originally a Catholic cathedral,
Right.
So it has pretty much the same kind of setup that you'll see in a lot of Catholic buildings. So
I guess they were all Catholic until like the mid 1500s, weren't they? Really, like
yeah. So through this big arch here, that's your chancel. That's where your clergy would have worshipped, and that is where your choir would have been, your high altar, and it would have been separated from this bit, the nave, by a much less permeable wood screen.
Wood screen, aye.
You would have been able to see what was going on behind there. You would have been able to hear it, but not see it. So the public would have worshipped in here. There would have been little sort of side galleries, sort of chapels, altars between these pillars. And that's pretty much how things ran here until the mid-1500s, as you said, Protestant Reformation. The cathedral took really heavy damage. Now, unusually, it was this side of the cathedral that took the most damage. Normally what you see with these buildings is it was the chancel that took the heavy fire, that took most of the damage, because that was the bit that people weren't allowed to go to. That was the inaccessible bit. That was the bit that was seen as...
What I'd read was that actually the reformers did very little damage to Dunblane Cathedral, that it was Montrose's men stealing the roof, taking the lead off the roof, that did the most damage, because they wanted the lead to be able to fund their wars.
That's interesting.
So there you go.
I've never heard that. No.
Yeah, they took the roof off. Like,
So I know that the roof went, but I didn't hear that it was because
it was Montrose's men. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Yeah,
so
there you go.
you've just given me something to talk. But anyway, so for whatever reason, so this bit ended up without a roof. The roof stayed on this part, and they bricked that up and used that as a parish church for a couple of 100 years. This was left to the open air. It had no windows. It had no roof.
Yeah.
It was completely gutted.
Again, that was the lead taken for the windows as well. Like, yeah.
And it just became churchyard. So you'll see between the pews, some of them, there's grave markers on the floor. That's because this was outside.
There were three ladies buried here together in the prayer section.
Yeah, so that's the Drummond sisters.
That's right.
So that is something.
Is that their stones there, those three? Because it was blue marble they were buried under, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
So you can just make out the kind of the darker colour,
Yeah.
but it's clearer when you get up there.
or we can get in there, yeah. We're able to have a walk.
So James IV's mistress and her two sisters.
That's right. They were poisoned in their household, surrounded by their own servants, is what we'd read. Like,
So either they were poisoned or they just got food poisoning.
right, okay.
Personally, I think they were poisoned, but I don't understand why the sisters were dragged into it.
They may have been told something by the mistress and he couldn't countenance having any information getting out, maybe. Like, just if you take them out, then maybe you'll know.
Maybe. But James IV, after their death, became quite a big financial contributor and sort of protector of the cathedral.
Right.
And so that's why a lot of its kind of renovations around about that time happened, was because he was feeding money into the cathedral, because it's where his love was buried.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
So yeah, the Victorians restored in the 1800s. So that's where these two new roofs came from. It's where all the stained glass comes from. And it's where all this lovely carved oak wood comes from. Is that Victorian restoration project. The only stuff that's older is the really dark wood down this end. And there's misery seats down that end. You can't quite see, but they're there when you get down there. Mm-hmm. They're 1400s. They survived the Reformation because they don't have any religious iconography on them, but they've got stuff that a lot of people find quite surprising. So they've got green men on them, which is a
kind of pagan symbols. Yeah, a bit like Rosalind Chapel a wee bit.
Yeah. So they've got mermaids, they've got bats, they've got sea creatures and things on them. So, but they didn't have Mary or a crucifix.
So your sea monsters were kind of intrinsic with, because everybody in Scotland believed that there were monsters in most waterways, your rivers, your lochs, and that. Like in Columba, he came up against Nessie at one point, didn't he? Yeah. And here we've got the Drummond sisters. There's Sibylla, 6th daughter of John the First Lord Drummond, poisoned with her sisters in 1501. This is a blue marble that covers their burial grounds. These brasses to replace the original ones, which were destroyed, have been placed here by George Drummond, 17th Lord Drummond, 14th Earl of Perth, and 6th Earl of Milford, and his daughter Edith Drummond in 1897. Sit Deo Laus et Gloria Defunctus Misericordia. To the glory of God, in memory of Margaret, eldest daughter of John First Lord Drummond, by tradition privately married to King James IV and poisoned at Drummond Castle with her sisters Euphemia and Sibylla by some of the nobles who desired the king's marriage with Princess Margaret of England. The three sisters were buried beneath these slabs in the choir of the cathedral, which their uncle Walter Drummond was dean in 1501. And the last sister, Domine Refugium, in memory of Euphemia, 3rd daughter of John First Lord Drummond and wife of John 2nd Lord Fleming, poisoned with her sisters in 1501. It's nice to see it in person. Crazy amount of detail in the windows. It's just always astonishing how much work goes into these places. There it says this cathedral was restored under the ministry of the Reverend Alexander Ritchie, 1886 to 1917, in which work he took a leading part, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. This one says this stone commemorates the restoration of Dunblane Cathedral, begun in September 1889, finished in October 1893, and records the piety of Janet Weir, widow of David Wallace of Glassingle, whose love for the church of her fathers originated the undertaking and whose munificence chiefly contributed to its successful completion. It says, to the glory of God, Bishop Clement, 1233 to 1258, to mark the 750th anniversary of the consecration of Bishop Clement, whom the cathedral was built in to commemorate the visit of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, on the 25th of September 1983. It's quite hard to read, actually.